Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Conquistador number 1.
Gary Rhodes, everybody.
This is our WWE show for the week, so let's go right into it. The first match of the night was I got the same reaction last week too. Randy Orton and Sheamus versus The Big Show in a handicap match.
Shamus.
Here's the question, right? Why are the faces going against the heel in a handicap situation?
I guess because they want to keep making Big Show look like a monster, but I mean, really, he's been in the business for 20 years almost. He's been the monster in every match, so there's really nothing to prove there.
And then the faces win, which reminded me of an old Chris Rock joke.
Oh God!
Well, you remember the Chris Rock joke where he talks about the dads wanting to get credit for paying their child support?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, well, that's something you're supposed to do. We got 2 former world champions wrestling in one man. They're supposed to win.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed out of place and weird.
Now, what didn't seem out of place and weird was our next.
Or 3MB called out the Shield.
Oh, but they got much more than the Shield, my friend.
They got the Beast Incarnate.
Brock Lesnar. Love that shit. It was nice seeing Paulie coming out too.
That was a bad impersonation.
Oh, what?
Of Pritchard doing an impersonation of McMahon.
Well, you what you pay for, my friend. It's a free show. Anyways, Brock fucking destroyed the 3MB though.
I thought that the best thing I've ever seen Heath Slater do was take 2 F5s onto the guardrail.
I've never seen Brock do the F5 on a guardrail like that before.
It was just vicious.
So the second, I mean, the first one I think was like,
no! No!
And the crowd's chanting one more time, and you see Brock. One time. I think he should. Honestly, if Brock would have did it one more time, Brock was instant face. Oh yeah.
But plus then we got a great in-ring promo with Paul Heyman talking about respecting Triple H, but Brock Lesnar doesn't think the same way. Brock Lesnar's upset that he lost.
So they're building up for a steel cage match at
Extreme Rules. And it's time to get extreme.
That's what I was waiting for. Anyways.
Which Paul seemed to emphasize. Yeah, about 50 times during the interview.
Paul Heyman is the best mouthpiece in wrestling
Today.
I mean, for what he is. I mean, honestly, you look at a guy like Brock Lesnar, which is a true monster. Paulie made him a monster. Only a handful of guys could have done that with Brock. I mean, Bobby Heenan could have done it. Paulie could have done it. I even think James E. Cornette could have done it.
There you go. Slick could have done it.
No, because then Brock Lesnar be coming out to Jive Soul Bro wearing color dashiki. So no. Speaking of dashikis.
We got a guy from Ghana, West Africa. Kofi Kingston versus Antonio Cesaro for the U.S. title. And if you haven't noticed, Gary's been crying all day because Kofi Kingston went over.
I like Kofi, man, but I just hate to see my boy Cesaro get used. And you know what? Cesaro is a true monster. He's not a giant guy, but pound for pound, I think he's the strongest guy in pro wrestling. Would you agree on that?
After I give Gary his tampon so he could block up all that he was just crying about, we're going to go into it. Basically, the WWE's buried his character, and he's lost more matches as champion than he's won. So them taking the belt off of him might be better for his career than it looks to be right now.
I think so too, to be honest with you. If you're really tarnishing the championship by having your champion lose every match. But this match here, I have to say, was a hell of a match. I mean, they gave them some time at this match, and I like the fact that at first they didn't think Kofi was going to win.
The end sequence was amazing.
Yeah.
The multiple the multiple reversals and then into the bang right into Trouble in Paradise.
The two things I didn't like about this was, of course, is our losing, which I understand is part of the business. But anyways, Kofi winning kind of is going to kill heel Kofi, I think. Yeah. And that's what I like to see. I think Kofi would thrive as a heel.
I don't think heel Kofi's happening anytime soon.
I don't know. I'd like to see it, though. I'd like to see what this guy can pull off. I just hope he's not a steamboat, babyface his whole career.
Speaking of heels, we got a guy who part of his Twitter tag is Heel Ziggler. Heel Ziggler came out talking about his title win, which brought out Alberto Del Rio to say, I want my rematch clause right now,
Patron.
Anyway, brought out Vicky. She said, go ahead, go for it. And that brought out Swagger and Zeb Coulter, who pretty much stopped that match right there by attacking Dolph Ziggler.
No,
sorry, not Ziggler, Alberto Del Rio. Further injuring his leg. The leg that he only remembers to limp on about half the time.
Well, I mean, that's what it is.
But, for later on that night, basically it sets up a match with Ziggler and Swagger. If Swagger wins, he becomes the #1 contender, which happens later.
Anyways.
Coming off of that, we had the primetime players, who are, for some reason, the tag team jobbers of the year versus Team Hell No.
And they're pretty much Team Hell No's tag team jobber, because almost every time that you see Hell No, it is the primetime players.
Or the Rhodes Scholars.
Yeah.
I don't get where they're going. These guys almost exclusively lose on TV and on pay-per-view. To me, you don't build somebody by them losing over and over again. The fans stop giving a shit.
They do. And the thing is, Titus O'Neil, I think he could have a bright career as a monster. He's a big dude. He's fast.
Darren's not even that bad.
Darren's not that bad, but I see a lot of potential in Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, he's 6'6", 6'7", something in that area. He's close to 300 pounds, and he's built like a brick shithouse. He's strong as an ox. Why ain't he like your new version of Brock Lesnar? Why ain't he like your Biggie Langston? I mean, I think honestly, if Biggie Langston came up to me in a dark alley, or Titus O'Neil, I think Titus O'Neil would get my wallet first.
Well, Titus is...
He's huge.
But Biggie's actually legitimately stronger.
People don't really care. It's professional wrestling.
I understand what you're saying, Gary. Yeah. Speaking about strong guys, obviously Team Hell No won that. But speaking of strong guys, we get a pre-taped segment with Ryback explaining why he did what he did last week and attacked John Cena.
I've always kind of been... I mean, I've liked Ryback, but I've always been kind of critical of him. This was his coming out party. This was Ryback, the character, evolving, and I enjoyed it. I know you did. You kept telling me, watch it again.
Well, you didn't get to catch it live.
Yeah, I didn't catch it live. I had to watch it on TV.
Right, DVR. To me, if you guys are old enough to remember when Jim Ross did the interviews with Mick Foley and Triple H when they were mid-carders, and he did sit-down interviews, and the sit-down interviews put him, boom, broke the glass ceiling for him. I think this is what breaks the glass ceiling for Ryback. This and him turning heel, combined with logical reasons for why he's a heel. I mean, it makes sense. If you're John Cena's friend, you're always going to be in the shadow of John Cena. Ryback was attacked 6 times by Shield. Where was Cena?
Exactly. It's kind of like the old comic book villain. He wasn't always bad. It's just something just turned him that way. Yeah. That was Ryback's matter of thinking as far as the character goes. And like I said, I enjoyed this segment because I've always kind of been like, oh, this is getting kind of stale. He's gotten out of the Goldberg area to me with this.
I've seen a lot of people that have complained that it was a pre-tape gimmick and they had to edit it. They probably edited it down. Well, so what?
It's wrestling.
It was a good promo. That's all that matters.
Well, that's a lot of haters on the guy. They want to dig into whatever they can dig in on. I honestly, like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you pointed it out to me because that was the highest points.
Yeah, I think it was one of the highlights of the night. After that, we had R-Truth versus Wade Barrett in the Who Cares match of the night.
R-Truth wins with a shocking look on his face.
There you go.
Oh my God, even R-Truth looks shocked. Okay, R-Truth has been a main eventer. He's a former NWA champion. It's not like he's a jobber. I mean, they've been jobbing him. But, I don't know. I didn't really care for that. It wasn't like the 1, 2, 3 kid beating Razor Ramon. That's how they were playing it out.
Has anybody's comeback been less hyped up than R-Truth's comeback has been?
Oh, God.
I mean, he's been back, what, about 2-3 months now?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even mention that he was missing when he came back.
No.
And, I mean, he's been putting garbage since he's come back.
And R-Truth has had to deal with a lot with, with his career. He's done the little Jimmy thing, whatever situation they put R-Truth in,
he makes gold out of it.
He does, and that's the thing. Like the little Jimmy thing, I don't think a lot of people would have pulled that off. The rapper, how many rapping wrestlers have
failed miserably?
He's the only one I could think of that really succeeded.
Word life. Basic economics.
Whatever.
Anyway, followed by our second inconsequential match of the night: the Rhodes Scholars versus the Jobbers of the Jobber team of the Great Khali and Santino. Two guys that are probably going to be on the scrap heap rather soon, in my opinion.
And I think they should. I mean, I understand they're keeping Khali around. Well, I understand they're keeping Khali around for the Indian market and stuff like that.
They could turn Jinder at any point, and Jinder's 10 times the wrestler Khali is.
Exactly, and that's the thing. You're putting the 3-man band. You got 2 to 3 guys, and I'm a little hard on Slater, but they could be money. Even Slater, like I said, he could be money with a mic, but in-ring ability, Jinder, and
but the thing about it, while we're going off on that rail a little bit, have you noticed though when they choose to do the big segments like Brock Lesnar earlier, like the Legends things, that Heath is always the one that sells it?
He's a great performer.
He takes bumps, best out of the crew.
Oh, we've seen that earlier. What Brock did to him.
That's what I mean. He's the one. He's a guy that's able. He's a guy willing to do the crazy bumps.
Yeah, I honestly think he's going to evolve into a great wrestler.
Yeah.
I just right now we're not seeing it, but if Vince keeps him around and lets this kid do his craft, he could be one of the better wrestlers of the next generation. Which we call it McIntyre though. McIntyre is solid gold, and so is Jinder. But anyways, there's turned him into 3 good wrestlers and a bunch of jobbers.
Yeah.
And you got 2 jobbers right here.
Now coming off of that, we had probably the most looked forward to by most fans segment of the night, the Fandango.
Go. You gotta let the A's breathe.
And officially, as of, what was yesterday? April 15th, 2013, Fandangoing is dead.
And I don't blame it on him. I don't blame
the crowd just wasn't as into it as they were the week before. It's like they sent him out there without a plan.
And they did.
And they sent the guy. I felt bad for him. I mean, Johnny Kurtz, he's a good wrestler. He's a good talent. He did his best in there. He tried to get the crowd into it.
You know what gets me is if Vince would have got on the yes chance like he did on the Fandangoing,
they probably would have killed Brian.
They probably would have killed Brian. I think, my opinion is they should have just ignored it like they did the yes chance.
Just put him out there and let it grow on its own. But I think them forcing it down, it killed it.
They did. As soon as Vince gets a little bit of...
We'll see what happens next week in England, because that's going to be a different crowd, more rowdy crowd.
That's majority of the fans from last week were from England.
Well, some.
Yeah. But anyways, as soon as Vince gets a whiff of something that has a little bit of success to it, he kills him.
And then, speaking of that, well, I don't think he killed him on purpose.
I don't think so either.
I just think they didn't know how to capitalize.
They seen it.
And then Jericho wasn't there to help him along, which Jericho's been there the last couple times. Anyway, speaking of that, we're going to our question of the week from last week, which was, now that Fandango's debuted, been on TV a couple times, what do you think about him? We got a couple answers from our friends out there. First is from the first is from Poison03 NAE. Been on the Fandango train since day one. I loved him as Curtis. He's awesome, hands down, he was so over. The next is from Choppy84. I thought Johnny Curtis was already a good writer, good wrestler. All he really needed was a good gimmick. One thing I didn't know about Fandango is how good of a bumper he is. He can make other wrestlers look good. I totally agree. I liked Johnny Curtis. I hope they did somewhere. Remember when he did the thing after NXT? He was doing the corny jokes gimmick, like he had the chip on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping they went somewhere with that. I've said to anybody that's asked me about it that once you see this kid wrestle, that the goofiness of the gimmick is going to disappear and you're going to believe in him, kind of like the Shield. I think the kid could still go far, and he'll just. I think he's someone that's smart enough to evolve the gimmick, kind of like Goldust, where Goldust evolved the gimmick and kept it relevant. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think Fandango to me is like a mix between Goldust and Val Venus.
Yeah, he's got the Val Venus voice.
Yeah, in the mannerisms and stuff like that. But this whole week thing, it was just like Vince said, hey, get on the camera, or just get out in a ring and do something. Jerry will help you along, and Jerry just pretty much buried him. He just, here's the mic. You know, Jerry Lawler is better than that. And
who knows what he was getting told in his earpiece, though, too.
Well, the thing is, Jerry got enough pull there. If he don't want to do something, he don't have to do it.
Right. Now coming off of that, before we get into our question of the week next week, if you watched last week's show, we gave it an unprecedented HBK. Our friend Josh Adams wanted to know what kind of show would be a Mr. Perfect. And it's very easy to answer. For the show to be to get a Mr. Perfect, it has to be
perfect.
There you go.
I'm a Mr. Perfect mark, so thanks. I didn't even know that. That was nice.
And our question of the week from this week is actually also recommended by one of our friends, Kirby Shadas. I'm always scared of pronouncing that wrong, so if I am, please tell me. He put to us, have you guys ever thought about doing a Q&A? We'll leave that up to you guys. Is there interest in a question and answer show before us, where you guys give us the questions, we give you the answers?
Sounds like a plan.
Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Twitter, hit us up on our Facebook, put it down where?
Down there.
Right down there in the comments. And coming off of that and going back right into the show, we have the number one contender match, I guess you would call it. Jack Swagger versus Dolph Ziggler.
I like these two. I've always liked them when they were together.
It was a solid match. The thing of it is Ziggler, before his title win, was jobbing a lot, and now you have him job again. Although I did like the move, the power bomb into a hot shot, followed by the roll up. I liked that Swagger did it. It was a little bit different.
I think Swagger needed to win over Ziggler because when they were, breaking up as a tag team, Ziggler was getting the better of the whole time, and I think Swagger needed a little bit more of a rub for his character to get over. Ziggler don't need it. I mean, Ziggler is over. He's a world champion. Even if he, gets disqualified or whatever like that is to win, I see a decent title run from Ziggler.
Now, after that, we had Del Rio attacking Swagger, putting him in the cross arm breaker, hanging him from the stage, which he did last year to somebody. I forget who he did it to. But yeah, basically, it's going to end up setting up a three-way match between these guys, which they even announced later on. And then in the backstage...
But before we get to that, I mean, at the pay-per-view, do you think that match might steal the show between these three?
It may just. We got three excellent workers. I think the Swagger and Alberto Del Rio feud is gone stale. Injecting Ziggler into there until Ziggler gets his next opponent, I think is going to breathe a little life into it.
Well, the thing is, you got Swagger, which is a good power wrestler, and he can move and he can wrestle. You got ADR, which is a decent mat wrestler, and you got Ziggler, which is your high flyer / he's also a great mat wrestler too.
Ziggler's this generation's Billy Gunn or Mr. Perfect.
So I think this is going to be an awesome match.
Not that he just looks like him, just he's that kind of guy that can have good matches with pretty much anybody on the card. Now, coming off of that, we had a interview segment that never happened. We had Sheamus about to get interviewed for the second time. He got attacked on SmackDown, and now on Raw, Mark Henry attacks him again, because that's what he do!
You got the hair, too. You should just... Because that's what I do!
I ain't going bald.
Yeah, well, no. You should really do your hair up, and you should be Mark Henry for Halloween.
Okay. You should be Shawn Michaels for Halloween.
Oh, really? I'll just wear a bandana and a cowboy.
All you gotta do is grow it out. You got the spot.
Oh, I do have my spot. I have my Arn Anderson spot. Anyway.
Next, we had, coming off of Arn Anderson, we had the best of the world, CM Punk, and his manager, Paul Heyman, who has the Arn Anderson dude.
He also managed Arn Anderson, too. Dumbass. Anyways, I love this segment.
I thought it was great. I liked the fact that he wasn't face, he wasn't heel. He almost seemed like he was the real CM Punk, the person out there. And it sold well that it reminded me of I Lost My Smile.
And that's what the gimmick I think they're going with it. He has some nagging injuries from
and he's going to clear them up.
2 years.
I say keep him off of TV 2-3 months. Let him heal up.
Well, there's a pay-per-view in Chicago coming up. I think that's when they're going to bring him back.
Well, keep him off for 2-3 months. Let him come back. I say he's going to come back as a monster face, and
John Cena might not like that.
Well, he could be the guy going after the world title against Ziggler. Imagine the matches him and Ziggler could have. Now, off of that, we had the last actual match of the night was Nikki Bella versus Kate. Nikki's the bigger one, GR.
What do you mean, bigger one?
Oh, you know what I mean.
No, what do you mean, Kate?
Her fucking tits are bigger.
No, there you go. That's what they should have said last night. It would have been so much better.
She got the improvements.
She did. She got the upgrade.
I also think it's funny that Nikki's the one that's dating John Cena and she's got the fake boobs. And Brie's the one dating Daniel Bryan and she's more naturally gifted. Because Daniel Bryan's more naturally gifted and everything that John Cena has is fake.
Exactly. Or pushed on them.
But anyway, I thought it was a decent match. I thought it was weirdly placed here. This is where I would have put Kofi versus Cesaro if they were going to do the title change, made it more important. And they could have moved this down.
Well, if you really realize, we had that title change. I don't want to interrupt you, but they had the title change, what was first match in, or second match in, and then they have not talked about it through the whole show.
And here's another thing. Did you notice that other than the title change, we also had the world champion lose in a non-title match and the intercontinental champion lose in a non-title match?
Exactly.
And now we have on this one, the women's champion loses in a non-title match when they do the Twins Magic, and Brie Bella, the better of the Bellas, gets the win. Just
because she's with Daniel.
That's right. No! Any girl that likes a guy with a beard's okay by me. Coming off that, we go on to the main segment of the night, John Cena versus Ryback. Basically, Cena wants to know what he did, why he did it, let's fight now, blah, blah, blah.
I'm not putting nobody out there, but have you noticed that, now that Cena's got the belt back and stuff like that, he's talking like he's Mo Gangsta now? The whole way he's talking is just like, okay, really?
The only thing on this segment that kept it interesting to me, and I don't want to kill Ryback because I love what he did earlier.
That's what he do.
And some of this was okay. The thing that made the segment worth a shit was when the production truck fucked up and showed the Shield getting ready to come out.
And the second best part of it was...
And then them in there saying, did you just see that?
Did you see that? Did you see what I seen? Then they had to play it off like they added it to the show, like it was part of the show's being scripted.
Yeah. And then, they do their thing. Ryback does his best Dave Bautista and walks away from the fight, which... To me, that's the same thing Batista did against Cena. Would you agree? I mean, we've seen Batista do that several times. And lets Cena get destroyed by the Shield. Looks like he's going to come back and help and just walks further away. The Shield gives him the triple power bomb. That's how we end the show. Shield looks strong. Cena gets destroyed. Ryback doesn't give a shit.
Exactly. To me, the only thing that would top it off is if the Shield would have left the ring and Ryback would have jumped in there and destroyed him.
Kind of like something like CM Punk would have done.
Exactly. I think right there, if you're wanting to get this guy heat, monster or not, that's what should have happened.
Right. Now, we'll go right into our rating system. We do a 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. A 5's a CM Punk, a 4's a Daniel Bryan. 3's a Sheamus, 2's a Big Show, 1's a John Cena. What do you think, Gary?
I'm going to give it a 3, a Sheamus. It really wasn't that extravagant of a show, but I did like that. The Ryback segment really impressed me. The Swagger Ziggler match was awesome. The interaction earlier. I even liked the Kofi and Cesaro match. But
going right along with you, the Sheamus at 3. Things I liked about the show: Ryback, which obviously we talked about ad nauseum now. Kofi Cesaro was a great match. Swagger Ziggler was a decent match. Everything about Ryback's ascension, the CM Punk segment was good.
Losing a smile.
A lot of people thought he should have done more, but I thought it was perfect for the situation. To me, this is a show that Ryback became a star. And this is a show that they dropped the ball in Fandango. But anyway, basically that's all I got to have. Is there anything you
That's it.
Well, my name is George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat.